All right, I believe we are live. Here we go, and welcome to the SeeMore channel. We are going to discuss about one of the most important topics, I think, in today's economy. Just overall, a lot of people are having difficulty with it and just trying to get out their information. And we're going to dive into the secrets to finding a job in 2024, whether you're just starting out, transitioning careers, or simply exploring new opportunities. We're just going to try to give some valuable insight to navigate today's job markets and stand out from the crowd. So let's get started
Good.
and let's see
Yeah.
more opportunity and see more ways to go about that. And as you can see, today I have my guest Gus here from Temp, a veteran, one of the leading executives here. He's been in the staffing industry since 1983. You've seen him before, and you'll be seeing him many times before. Business professional, great individual that has a lot. So let's just jump right into that topic and really go, what are some of the secrets or tips or tricks that you see in today's market of trying to get your resume out there?
Well, you got to be very careful in today's market because if you're looking for work, some of the secrets of looking for work are many that we're going to discuss in this brief 30-minute podcast that we're doing now here on YouTube. And what we're trying to try and do is obviously you can't learn 40, 50 years of experience in just minutes. So it requires a certain sense of knowledge. And like anything else, the art of finding a good job, it's a somewhat, it could be a challenging, but there is a madness to it that if you learn the basics, you could develop it into a skill that can really bring you tremendous result. So this is something that we're going to talk about in brief here today to get you started as a how to in just basic layman terms. So if you're watching this podcast, you're going to want to watch next week's podcast because we're going to get more into more depth into each individual piece of the process in order to achieve the kind of goals that you're trying to find. And in finding a great job that fits you and could be a career for you, it's like anything else. It's a process. It could happen quicker than ever because of the internet. And as long as you learn what we're going to teach you, you're going to come out a winner. Don't even think twice about it because it's there waiting for you, and you just have to know how to get it. So, Sean, this is just a basic introduction. I'm sponsoring it. Tempa Veteran is a job board for free that employers use to look for candidates, and that's tempaveteran.com. I developed a free job board similar to like Indeed and stuff like that, except I don't charge for employers to post, and it gives you an opportunity to post your resume and apply directly to these clients. So that's another very valuable tool. But let's start off with the beginning. Sean, give it to you, and then I'll take it back,
Yeah,
and
so
we'll put it
I,
up
I
and talk.
think something that is hard for everybody, and I've shown on my channel a few times, having multiple resumes, I feel like a lot of people really get a little bit too honed in on just having one resume that explains everything that they're trying to do. And a lot of these websites like Indeed, Career Builder, and LinkedIn, they do not help. They do not prioritize having multiple resumes so that when you're submitting resumes on Indeed, you're stuck to having just one. And I think a lot of people have now sort of left the idea of like, oh, well, back in the 80s when I was a young kid and I worked with different staffing agencies, the idea of taking your resume and walking into buildings, that was a way you got a job. That was one of the many ways in the old school
Yeah.
in the 80s and in the 90s. And people have now sort of forgotten that. And now, granted, I know you're not going to be able to get out of your desk or go into a building. Security is harder than ever. But what people don't understand is doing that on LinkedIn, doing that in, just emailing CEOs, going on Google and finding, hey, what are the 20 companies that live local to me? Not a lot of people are doing that. We're actively now going out and emailing. And then when they do email, they're using the same email for every person. And that's where what you want to do, and I think something that we want, the first thing to creating a great resume is to have one resume that you're going to put on Indeed, and that is no pictures, no links, nothing, just a cut and dry resume. Because as you're applying, they're going to go into applicant tracking systems. So when you're emailing a human resource manager directly, you can utilize a different resume. You don't have to use your very
That's a
robotic.
very good point. Very
Yeah.
good point, Sean. And I understand what you're saying, but I want to make it very in layman terms so that in the sophistication and simplicity of what you're trying to say, it could be the viewer that's watching us right now trying to say, okay, what exactly is he saying? How does that affect me? How does it affect my life? So I'm going to make it very simple, like a layman terms. What Sean is trying to say, which is the key, is the presentation is the key. Think of yourself as a brand, no different than Geico, Coca-Cola, any kind of brand or pharmaceutical. What do they do? They know that marketing is the key. So they create these little commercials and they put these 15, second commercials on television, 30 seconds. They spend a lot of money to attract the general public to the image that they're seeing so that the general public can understand what it is that you're selling, whether it's funny, whether it's sad, whether it's a company. You're a brand. If you're looking for a job, you have to think like a corporate brand. What does corporate America want to see? So what he's saying in layman terms is if your resume is 5 pages long, forget it, boring, nobody wants to see it. Sorry, it doesn't cut the mustard. You need a one-page capability document. That's it. Think of yourself as a flyer, a commercial. You're going to spend, nobody's going to spend 20 minutes or 8 pages to read your resume because it's too much. And people in today's times, their mind is moving so quick, just like almost like TikTok. You look at a view and you keep viewing and you keep viewing until something stops that kind of shows your interest. So what you want to do as a person looking for the perfect job is the first part is create a capability document, a one-page resume. What you call resume, I call it capability document, and that something that will be right to the point, quick to tell the world what it is you're looking for and what it is that you do without me having to spend much more than 2 3 seconds to say, okay, geez, this attracted my attention. And if you could do the first piece, that's the first secret that we're teaching you right now. Write this down because it's your career that's at stake here. Your resume has to resonate and be attracted to the human eye. One pager, that's it. If you are looking for a job as, let's say, an inventory specialist or an engineer, and you did 30 jobs, first thing you're going to do is you're going to hurt yourself because everybody's going to say, this guy's a jumper. It's like if you get married and you find out that your husband or wife has had 600 dates. It's like, what the hell's wrong here? This is kind of weird. So, same thing in business. Employers don't want to know that you worked at 30,000 companies because they figure, hey, you know what? If you haven't been successful to now, you're not going to be successful with me. I'm just going to be another one of your clients or another one of your companies that you work for. So the less you put, the better. Let them give you the audition. What you're trying to achieve in a resume is to get attention, zero in on your niche. Because if you are an engineer or an inventory specialist, or you want to do logistics, whatever it is your job title is you look for, you don't want to say that you worked at McDonald's 25 years ago because nobody cares and it's irrelevant to what you're looking for now. So you have to stay with relevance and a niche of what you're looking for. Years ago, when I was a young kid, I can't even remember that long because it's been a long time, but when we looked for jobs, when we were kids, young folks, we went into the New York Times. And if you were looking for a job, you would look from A to Z, almost like anything else. And let's say you were an inventory specialist, you would have to go to I, and then you'll see, oh, inventory specialist. And all the companies that were interviewing for inventory specialists would go under alphabetized. So you have to be somewhere classified as something. What are you looking for? If you don't know what you're looking for, you can never find it because you don't know what you're looking for. So let's say hypothetically, you say, okay, well, I'm looking for a good job. Okay, what kind of good job? There's millions of good jobs. What is it that you're looking for? Well, what do you like? Did you graduate? Are you looking for advertising? What industry are you interested in? That's the first thing you have to know. That if you write that down, you say, well, you know what? I'd love to be in advertising or in the media business, or maybe I'm a journalist, or maybe I'm an engineer, or I'm looking for coding, I'm looking for programming, IT, healthcare, whatever it is. That's the industry. So that's the first thing you write down on a piece of paper, industry. Second thing you're going to put on that industry is anything in your life that can show long-term stability to um, bring that skill value to the employer. Because remember, you got to Good.
That's something I will actually interjection too, and a lot of people might hear that and say, yeah, but what's the secret to figuring out what I want in life? And that's where I come into play, and I say, hey, you don't need to figure that out right before. If you do what Gus is saying, and you make, all right, I'm going to make a resume where I'm going to take my resume, my information, and I'm going to do one for industry. For, let's say I was a retail inventory, I've been picking and packing, I'm doing all these jobs, I don't know what I want to do. Well, then make a resume like Gus is saying, and a really good point is make one resume that's a one pager that can show the stability in that industry. So then at the end of the day, you're going to have 5 or 6 resumes, and you'll look at it and you go, which one's the best one? Which one's the easiest to market? Which one's going to have the
Which one
most
is best for me to
convincing?
use, or which one is best for me to use for that job that I'm applying for? Because if you apply and you say you go to Indeed and you look for a job and you say, okay, I'm looking for a good job, I'm a salesman or I'm a mechanic. Now you're going to see a lot of jobs in different industries that are mechanics. So you have mechanics for airplanes, for aerospace, for United Airlines, private airplanes, airports. So there's a lot of different companies and a lot of different things that could fit your mechanics. You might say, you know what, I'm applying to a mechanic job and I'm a mechanic, but I work on cars. So I'm going to apply to Ford. I'm going to apply to dealerships. I'm going to apply to different. So you might have a one resume that just resonates that industry. So if you go into Google and you just type in the words, how many industries are in the available in LinkedIn or in Indeed or out there? It usually boils down to like a dozen or so: healthcare, logistics, engineering. There's they try to keep it within a realm of some sanity. So what Sean is trying to say is that it doesn't hurt for you to have different ammunition. You're going to war. Listen, I'm a service disabled veteran. J-52, B-52 bombers. I worked on J-57 engines. Temp veteran. I own the job board. It helps veterans, military spouses, and civilians. But at the end of the day, think of yourself going to war and you need to win. And you're the warrior, and the employer is the enemy who doesn't want you to come into their company. They don't want you coming into their country. They just don't care. If you have to prove that you're worthy enough to get an audition. The interview is the audition. So you need different ammunition in order to combat the enemy, right? If you only used a handgun or a knife, you're not going to succeed in fighting, in a war. How are you going to succeed? To have different ammunition. So your resume, what Sean's saying is, if you can create 4 or 5 different templates that would resonate what industry you're attracting to, you could kind of gear it. So when you submit that resume, it's geared towards that client. If that makes any sense. Does that make sense?
I think that that makes perfect sense, and I think that ties into the next thing is where once you get that resume and you have 4 or 5 resumes or 3 resumes or 2 resumes, it's whatever you're comfortable with, but it's the amount of effort that you're willing to put in and the results you're going to see. That's going to then help you go to the next segment, which is going to be finding target companies. If you're like, hey,
Right.
I've worked at Target for 8 years, I worked at Walmart for 20 years, 15 years, whatever it is, you then know, all right, well, my next step, maybe I want to go after small businesses and show them like, hey, I've come from bigger places. I can help you with your this or that. And I can bring that large facility knowledge to your smaller business. That's now a way where you're targeting specific companies. And now you're going to have, like Gus said, to put it into that very different way of thinking about it is having the ammunition set up to be able to then submit your resume to small business, large business, medium sized business, and have a script or a prepared, like it doesn't have to be a script. It just has to be a guideline of understanding, hey, when I go to this place, what am I selling? What skills and experience are mine? Am I pitching to the, said client or the company, the HR manager to get my foot into the door?
So that's the marketing aspects. Right now, we're dealing with the one secret. Right now, we're only showing you one secret right now at this minute. The secret is the resume. You have to prepare that resume. You can always even send questions to Sean. Sean's going to share your email. I'm going to share my email with you. If you have any questions, you can email us and call us and say, hey, I'm looking to have my resume prepared. But be ready to to, to create almost like a business card, a one-page, very high-end, professional resume that you're going to start marketing. Even if you just start off with one that's generic and it's different industries, which will be the next part of our segment.
And
But
Gus,
right now,
you don't see it right now, but on the screen right above my head, it says for resume help, email Sean at SeeMorePros.com. Right there.
right. And you really want to do that because I've come across. I'll give you an example, a real quick example. I had one of the military professionals. She happened to be now become in charge. She's in charge of a major company, and she runs HR. And she came out of the military. And when she came out, she says, "Gus, I had 9 pages because the military didn't teach me how to prepare a resume." And for 3 months I marketed myself. I didn't get one resume. I said, "Nothing for nothing, Stacy. But the problem is that you're giving too much information. You're not going to get, and it's too out there. There's too much things that you did in the military that are irrelevant to what you're looking for right now. So you're talking lingo that doesn't resonate with employers, which we're going to talk about in depth a little bit more. But think like the client. The client's sitting there looking to fill orders. They got 1,500 open orders they got to fill, and they're using their brain, what we're going to call algorithm, which will be the next segment. And now they're 8 pages, they're not going to even read. And so she went out and she said, "Okay, what did I do wrong?" So when she went to a professional, and the professional told her, "Listen, first thing you got to do is you got to get rid of the 8 pages. Second thing you got to do is that you were working in the in a warehouse, and you were counting bullets, and you were doing things that are highly advanced, but that doesn't resonate with America, with corporate America. So reality is that you were just an inventory specialist that was doing inventory of bullets. Using the word bullets is not going to help because algorithms not going to pick up the word bullets because nobody is out there looking for a bullet specialist. So change your resume, put inventory specialist, put less information, just a very small cap of what you did, and push your school, push the fact that you were there for 8 years. You got college degree, things that are of importance to people, and make it a one page. Well, she did that. She put inventory specialist as a caption of what her title was, and she just went on to the next title, which was something else but very brief, and she put it back into the internet, and she got 3-4 calls right away from clients that said, "Oh, good, we need inventory specialists working for major logistic companies working for this." And then she realized, "Wow, this is what I've been doing wrong. I've been putting too much in there, and it's confusing the buyer, the employer, the recruiter." So the less she put, all of a sudden she got a call from a major company and said, "Listen, we're looking for a veteran. We're hoping. Do you have any good skills with people?" And she's so dynamic because remember that's important. Your attitude when you meet these people is the key to success. I've been doing this for 40 years, staffing people. I've placed hundreds of thousands of people. I work with NBC, CBS, all the big players. I was the largest temp agency in New York back in 1980. I'm 47 in Madison, and dealing with some of the biggest companies in the world. And I still do. I have friends all over the world that are, all over the US that are major employers and senior level executives because now I'm an executive headhunter. And what we did is then at that point, she got a call from a major client, Stacy, and they said, "Hey, Stacy, we see you're military and you've done inventory and you have some top secret background. Would you be interested in working in HR?" She goes, "Human resource?" She goes, "Yeah, I would love to." She goes, "Yeah, because we would love to get you involved more to help veterans find work with our company. And since you're so dedicated and your attitude's so positive and you come across as such a great person, you have great customer service skills that you don't even know you could develop. Um, we would like to audition you for this position." She goes, "Sure, when do you want to meet?" She goes, "Oh, we'll send you a team meeting for Wednesday at 3 o'clock. Wednesday at 3 o'clock. She met with all the senior folks. They said, "We love you. That's it. We're making you an offer. How soon can you start?" And now she got into her company. Now she's running HR, and she's saying, "You know what? My job as Stacy now is I didn't even know what I wanted. I found my dream job because not only am I making good money, I'm working for a big company, but I'm also getting good health care, and I'm in a business where I'm helping people, and I'm in human resource, and I'm helping old people get jobs, and she's got hundreds of open jobs. That would be one of many clients that you. And so it goes to show you that if she didn't fix her resume to be attractive, she would have never got the audition or the interview, which you call it interview, I call it an audition, because now with the media and you have all this, social media where you can do team meetings like we're doing now, you can see who I am, and you can see how I speak, you can see my background, my enthusiasm, and that really makes a difference. And she ended up getting her dream job, the perfect job. It all started with the right resume. That changed her life. So secret number one is work on your resume to get your foot into the door. No different than if you're an actor looking for a position in a commercial and you're sending it to producers, the producers being the employer. You spend 5 minutes on a commercial or on your, your biography. You can't do a video because that's only comes once they decide they want to move forward and maybe make an offer, but have an interview, whether it's on the web, team meeting, Zoom, or in person. So let's start off with the resume. Sean's there to help you. If you can't afford to go to a professional, and spend $200, $300 to get a resume, Sean will do it probably for free, unless you got like 1,000 resumes, and then we'd have to figure out how you can spend the time to do it. But ultimately, Sean, again, you have his email, and he'd be more than happy to help you try to get a clean-cut resume started. That's secret number one. Get the ammunition you need to move forward to step number two. Step number two will be the next segment, which we'll really get into and dive into.
Yeah, that's something that I have that to talk about that next topic,
Yes,
finding
next topic.
companies. That's something where I have a lot of content coming out on that. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to click those buttons wherever they are, just because that's something huge. Where if you're in a certain area and you're like, hey, how many resumes or how many companies are hiring in this area? How many nursing jobs are there in this location? That's going to change. Just like I said, if you, like we were talking about with the resume, where hey, there's 50 retail, I have retail experience, I have a little bit of, let's say, web design or web building experience, things of that sort, and you're going for a career transition, that's a different story. Then you're going to want to prepare things a little bit differently to find out what companies are hiring, how many companies are in your state. Are you willing to move? Are you not willing to move? There's a lot of questions that you'll have to ask to build up that idea of what's good for you, what's the right decision. And I think, like Gus said, the first biggest thing is, how many resumes do you have, and which ones give you the confidence to present your experience. Now, if there's people out there that are like, oh, well, what if I don't know, or what if this? Well, that's the homework that you have to do in order to get the job. If you're just submitting resume after resume to hundreds of companies and you're like, Sean, I'm in the IT space, I've submitted 80 resumes yesterday, 80 resumes the day before, and I'm not getting any information. Well, you've gotten some information. The information is no one's messaging you either because your resume has too much detail on it, not enough specific information on it. If you're talking to a financial company and they use a program that I just heard of yesterday, I'd never seen it before in my life, OneStream. They're a financial data programming language, and you didn't put that on your resume, but yet it's in the job description, you're not going to get a call back. You're not even going to get the introduction or the opportunity to audition because you don't have the keywords that they're specifically looking for.
And it's funny you say that, because at the end of the day, what we're going to do, because right now we're in 23 minutes to this podcast video, and we got 7 minutes left before we close it, because we're doing 30 minutes every Friday. And if you're interested, next Friday, we're going to get deep dive into the next step, which is marketing. Right now, resume building is the number one thing that you want.
Then if that's the case, let me just see. I'm going to do a desktop only here. Hold on one second. I'm going to switch over to, you're going to be on screen, but it's going to be a lot smaller. Hold on one second. Let me just move this. And then what I'll do too is with the resume process, I think another secret that a lot of people are afraid to use, and this could be a whole topic in and of itself, but you should be using any type of free AI software. It is so simple, and I'll show you what my resume looked like. Okay. And I have two different versions of my resume. Let me just pull it up on my screen. So when I was working as a contractor with multiple companies, and I had just ended a contract. I'm like, all right, I'm going to my next step. I had to make several different versions of my resume. So let me just pop this up on screen right now.
Like anything else. It's almost like a video. Some videos will pop and they'll become, they'll go.
Let me get this off. Hold on. Let me just transition this to.
Some resumes will go viral, and some resumes won't make it at all. They die. So if you're using a resume, you say, gee, I didn't get no response. I've sent out 300 of these things and nobody's calling me back. Well, it's because what you're sending out doesn't work. Einstein said it very carefully. If you keep doing the same thing over and over and expect different results, you're crazy. It doesn't work that way. If you have a hit song, it's going to go viral. If you have a hit resume, it's going to go viral. If you're not getting responses because the paper you're showing doesn't work, think of your resume as a bulletin board and you're on a highway. And if you look at it and you don't know what the hell they're selling and you don't know what the heck the person's doing, you don't even know what it said because there was too much junk in there. Your eye had no time to even look at it. That's why it doesn't work. The simpler, the better. And sometimes with in the internet, with our lives in today's internet challenges, is that we're moving so quick. Information is just so out there that we become bored very quickly. But the first step, which was the one that we're discussing today, is going to be resume preparation, having a clean resume.
But now that
If
let's just jump into that, Gus. So now having a
yeah,
clean resume and having multiple resumes, you don't have to write it anymore. AI
right,
can help you with that. Now remember, AI is not an answer to everything.
no,
AI can help you get started in the process. So if you look
I
on the
know.
screen here, I have multiple. Give me 7 bullet points that highlight my key responsibility as a sales manager and account manager. I
Oh,
then look at
absolutely.
that. I then take, oh, here's another 7 bullet points. It gives me that. And then I say, hey, I'm applying to a government job. Here's the job information. Here's my resume. Score my resume for me. So
Oh,
there's a
yeah, no
lot
doubt
of
about
little
it.
things like that that will then set you over the top to at least have multiple versions of it. Then you print them out. Or if, I always tell people I was very, years ago, I was very against like, no, I'm not going to print it out. I'm going to keep it on my computer. And then I watch people like Gus and how they work. And I'm like, wait a minute. I think that's better for my brain. I'm going to print it out. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to then cross things out on the piece of paper and then go back to the computer. And you could do all of this. If you don't have a laptop, if you don't have a computer, you need to be spending 4 or 5 hours at the local library getting
Yeah,
this all set up, getting a
even
Gmail
if you do
account for
2 hours,
free.
okay,
2 hours. Yeah,
two
of
hours,
course. You could do 30 minutes a day. But you got to be productive
right,
then. You got to make sure that you're
right.
holding yourself accountable and doing 30 minutes every day. Or if you only have one day a week to do it, then you got to make sure you're separating the time to do it that you can. That's the only excuses that will stop you are that I'm not willing to do that. And those are the things that are going to
No,
stop you from
you
getting what you
won't
want.
dedicate to it. Forget about you're looking for a job. Let's talk on a one-to-one basis because we got 3 minutes left and before we hang up and move on to the next week's segment. Um, you have to think of yourself as a product. It's a career move, and if you're looking for the perfect job, it changes everything because it's so important to you that if you don't take it serious and take it to that next level, you're never going to win. You have to become, in order to become a winner, you got to work very smart and hard at what you do to perfect your skill. This is a basic skill of marketing a resume. So we're going to go into step one today again. We'll re-emphasize creating a one-piece resume. Take your resume, paste and copy all the things. If you're doing it on Word, put it into chat and artificial intelligence. I know many executive recruiters that before they submit a resume to the client, they take their resume, they throw them through AI, and AI either also corrects the misspelling, corrects errors, and it reformats it in such a great way that an executive headhunter, which I am, and which many of my associates do, we do jobs paying $200,000, $300,000 a year. We take that so serious that we know that the resume it has to resonate. So today we run it in what we used to have to take us hours to do. We just run, paste, copy it into AI, a chat, and let it reformat. And now you see a completely different product. And it's like, wow, look at this resume. It phrased it almost artistically in such a way that it appeals to the general. So that's definitely something you have to do. And what you do is once you come up with the final product, you say, you know what, I got one page, I love it. Test it. Test it with your family. Say, hey, here's three different resumes that I created. What do you think? Rate them 1 to 10. What do you think? Ask your mom, ask your dad, ask your friends. Which one do you think is best? And don't pay attention to what they might say. Just which one almost like an advertising. You're trying to get a survey. So if you go to 10 people and say, hey, what do you got with my family? Out of 10 of them, all 6 of them pick this one. Majority wins. That's the one you should use to start with. If each one picks, well, I the 3 of them that I liked or this or that, we don't care. You want majority. So this is how people test products. So develop the resume and use that the beginning tool. Next week we're going to teach you marketing your resume. We're going to teach you how to get leads. We're going to teach you everything you need to know before you go to war. Because when you're in the battle zone of finding a career, the perfect job, Winning is about knowing a process and doing it all right so everything works to your advantage. And if you have it, and if you, it's almost like any other sport, if you throw the football and the catcher's there, you win the grand prize. And the grand prize is your career. So there's nothing more important to this than you pay attention to this and do it the way we're going to show you, so that you could be successful and be and find the perfect job that suits you at this point in your life. And it's there, and the process is there. It's not as hard as you think. It's a magic formula, the secrets to finding a job. And you're getting advice from myself, who've been doing staffing services for over 40, 50 years. Sean, who's been doing it for 20 years or so. He put thousands of people to work. And between me and him, we're going to help you set you off in the right direction.
Perfect.
And we'll
Well,
close.
amazing segue. I really appreciate it. And then let's just take a moment to thank, let's look on the screen just quickly. Tampa Veteran. We're going to just go through that at the very end. Again, this is sponsored by Tampa Veteran, free job board to go through and look at. If you are, veteran family members, anybody that's looking for work, you just come over here to tampaveteran.com. As you can see, let me put that on the screen. So tampaveteran.com. And then when you get here, you go for candidates, browse a job.
You follow us, follow Sean, and you'll see some more videos from us, because we're just starting this process. Because I think as the economy, just last month there was only I think 113 or 13,000 new jobs, which the economy was like whack. So it's getting a little harder to find good jobs. It's only going to get harder. And but there's the secret to success is what we're going to teach you. And that'll be the next segment. So follow us, follow Sean, and we can only assume that as you follow us, you'll learn more each time. Otherwise, we wish you great luck. We'll see you soon. And don't hesitate to call us, email us, press whatever button you want to do to follow Sean, myself, as we develop and teach you more about the secret to finding a good job.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.